Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pitchside Podcast. I'm your host, the HOD of the PSP, and welcome to the episode 57 of the show here. Follow us on social media. I'm at PSP on Twitter, Pitchside Pod on Instagram, and you can listen to this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. And of course, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, most importantly, and enable notifications to receive all the updates about these episodes and the other content on the channel. And we're kicking things off from Italy, really. There's not so much of news today to talk about, really. As much as I want to do so, but I think the biggest news is Thomas Tuchel being announced as the Chelsea manager. And we'll talk about that, I think, in a separate video later on. But we start from Italy, and it was the quarterfinal of the Coppa Italia, Inter facing AC Milan. This one, I think, I'm not going to mention more than what I mentioned in the review, really. This, tactically wise, because I'm really going to have quite a long discussion about this one, in fact. So, Inter Milan now with the win. They defeated AC Milan. It's a double sort of effect kind of thing, winning the derby, going to the semi-final of the Cup, and not just that, but having a psychological advantage over AC Milan, really. The game, I think the turnaround was clearly the red card, no debate about that whatsoever. Before the red card, it was a different game, and after the red card, it was a different game, really. I mean, the difference is startling between the two sides, at the moment. Of the game, that is, not the two sides in AC Milan and Inter, because I don't think there is too much of a difference, but still, there was enough of an advantage for Inter Milan to win this game. Now, is this going to help Inter win the double? I'm pulling this like it's a straight question. I want to make a case for Inter Milan, winning it and maybe not winning it. The first case is to winning it, of course, and can they do it? And can they go on and win a double, really? Because it looks like they care about the cup, and AC Milan, from the changes they made. I mean, the changes they made, obviously, were more forced by the fact that they have a lot of injuries, a lot of, COVID cases, coming and going at the club. They changed the squad a lot during the last month or so, really. They missed Hernandez, they missed Rebic, they missed Krunic, they missed Benacer, they missed Çalhanoğlu now, they missed Ibrahimovic before, and now it looks like they missed Donnarumma, of course, before. They missed Romagnoli for injury, they missed Kier for injury. Aside from Kessie, I think, and Leao, every player in the Milan squad had been almost sidelined for a while, even if it is for one match or two. So it is really hard for them to deal with this season and to do what they are doing already, being top of the table by, pretty much, we're almost in February, and they are still top of the table, even with a splendid lead over Inter Milan. It's really showing that they did something really genius and something really great with Stefano Pioli, who should be proud, I think, of his achievements. Now back to the Inter Milan, and I'm saying this because, again, I have a soft spot for Inter, and since I started watching football, pretty much, I decided not to support them exactly, but every time I watch Inter, I feel that I have that special feeling in my gut. That pushes me to sort of support them, unless they face Bayern, of course. In that, there's no debate that I'm going to support Bayern. But can they win the double again? I'm asking this question almost to myself. And throughout the whole match, as Inter were dominating the game and going towards the win, I started seriously considering this question, because AC Milan do not seem to have a deep enough squad. Yes, they bought Mandzukic just of late, but here's an addition that is not exactly going to be vital. Let's be clear about this. He wasn't introduced yesterday. He wasn't, he's not going to be used a lot. Let's be clear. Yes, he's younger than Ibrahimovic, but still, it's 34, which is not easy. Um, also, Inter Milan have a deeper squad than that. Clearly, that's one of the biggest differences, I think, between the two sides, is the fact that Inter Milan have a deeper squad. You see the options that Conte had yesterday. I mean, keeping Eriksen on the bench, as bonkers as that sounds, is a plus sometimes, because you have an option like that of Christian Eriksen. Obviously, he didn't bring him on, to be the winner, because he brought him on as a sort of something that a tactical change in the last couple of minutes, but still he brought him the game to his hands and he won him the game, and he did that. Again, that's the first argument. I think a deeper squad for Inter Milan can give them an advantage over the other clubs. Argument number two: no European football. Obviously, they don't play Champions League. They don't play Europa League. They don't have to worry about a European fixture coming in February or March. They don't have to worry about the schedule congestion between those fixtures, as Inter would have to do in the Europa League and Juventus would have to do in the Champions League. So, looking at it like this, I think Inter Milan obviously they are the most relaxed, comfortable sort of team out of those three on the schedule. In terms of the schedule, really, the schedule is pretty relaxed. Comparatively in this congested season, I think it's pretty relaxed. They have some time on their hands to probably focus more on the Serie A. Obviously, put the other teams on notice, because that is what they do with the latest performances that they have in the win against Juventus and this win against Inter Milan. And they will be meeting again in another derby in less than 3 weeks, where Inter are going to be the nominal hosts in the match. So that would be probably even more deciding than the derby on the night at the Coppa Italia. So, argument number two, again, is no European football. And I think argument number three is just the fact that Juventus are going to be too inconsistent this season, as well as AC Milan. So, we still have 18 matches to go now in the season, which is, again, bonkers that we even got to this point, considering the COVID-19 situation, the whole world pandemic situation, and where football should have been hadn't we faced this pandemic, probably. Inter are not the kings of consistency, let's put it this way. They're not exactly the kings of consistency. They're not the greatest side, ever to be consistent. They have their own dips in form, but I think the fact that they have a constant shape about them, that Antonio Conte is, someone who has a plan, who has a style properly, that might really help them. It looks like, potentially, they have an even better shape, or more consistent shape than the other clubs in AC Milan and Juventus, namely, as I always mention. He believes in the plan he wants to apply. He believes in the players that he wants to use, and obviously, he believes in himself. So clearly, that is going to be a plus for any coach heading into the business end of the season and heading into a title-winning sort of period for him. So, they can do it again. I think those three arguments are the biggest, reasons why Inter Milan can go to win a double, not just the cup, not just the league. They could do both, I think, which is going to be really, really, somewhat of an appropriate theme on the 110th anniversary of the club. But I think, it's going to take more more consistency than that. And obviously less fighting from Romelu Lukaku with any other players. I simply just wanted to do a segue to talk about this fight, because it was ridiculous now, and it is ridiculous now, and it was ridiculous back then, which is 12 to 13 hours ago. And it is weird. It is weird. Why did that happen? Why did that really? Why did that take place? Why they were insulting each other's mothers? Who knows why? Realistically. Anyway, to just close out this sort of point, I wish Inter can be more consistent. To do that, to actually win the double. because it's not a far-fetched theory that they could do that, but they just need a little bit more consistency, a little bit more efficiency in front of goal sometimes, because they missed a lot of chances yesterday, and that could not happen against every team. You could not escape with it against every team. Not every team is going to have, an unnecessary red card, really, like the one that Zlatan Ibrahimovic had, which stemmed from the unnecessary yellow card that, resulted in the fight, in the ensuing fight between him and Romelu Lukaku. So I think more consistency, more efficiency. The squad is there, the coach is there, the belief is there. So I think Inter are very, very capable to do it, and very capable to achieve this big accomplishment, really, for them. To the Premier League now, and the kickoff of round 20 of actions in England. 4 matches took place yesterday. Crystal Palace lost to West Ham United 3-2 at home, of course, and Newcastle United lost at home as well to Leeds United 2-1. Southampton lost at home as well to Arsenal 3-1. And Man City defeated West Brom away as well, 5-0. It was an away win galore in the Premier League, of course. Let's talk about what this means for the table. Man City, with their 5-0 victory, go top of the table with 41 points, ahead of the rest of the games, of course. In front of Man United with 40, Leicester with 38, who face face Burnley. At West Ham with 35, of course, at top 4. West Ham are top 4 over Liverpool momentarily, of course, which is something they would cherish for a while at least, until the game between Liverpool and Tottenham. It might end with a draw, and they might stay there. Who knows? Of course, the biggest focus on this is going to be in 2 matches, really. The first one is going to be in Arsenal, who continue their good form in the league. I mean, yes, they had, they continue their good form in the league. That's what we could say, really, about their victory against Southampton. It looked pretty shaky in the beginning, as Arsenal conceded early by Armstrong as the second minute from a corner from James Ward-Prowse. It looked like everything is going bad for them, specifically that they didn't have Aubameyang up top, of course. He was missing. Then of course Pepe managed to equalise quickly, which was, I think, a good thing for Arsenal to equalise quickly, to keep, to take the pressure off them, and really, make the game seem very equal since the beginning. Later on in the first half, it was Saka adding the second goal. He's just brilliant. He's leading the revolution for that side, doesn't he? He's leading a strong side, a strong youth side, I think, in Arsenal, alongside the likes of Smith Rowe, really, who was, who had a great game, who just had a great game. Like I said, adding a third goal in the second half, and it was another assist from Bukayo Saka. He's one of the best youngsters, really, in the Premier League. Bukayo Saka at the moment, anything and any praise I would throw at him, he would deserve it completely. He's a very deserving player. He's a big talent, and a generational talent, I would say. That's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but I think in Bukayo Saka's case, it is really well deserved to be called generational talent. 3-1 victory that takes Arsenal into a decent place on the table. They are now 8th behind Everton, not that far from the top 4 spots. If they keep the momentum going, it could be really an important, I think, sort of couple of weeks for them. Despite the fact that they have, Aston Villa, they have Leeds United, in the Premier League in the next couple of games, and then Manchester City, which is, weird, and Wolves, of course, before that. That's a fixture they struggled in the reverse one back in late November, in late October, early November, I think it was. They struggled in that fixture, so they have a couple of very tasty fixtures to look forward. They need to grab points out of those. I think the Man City one, not so much, but I think the other ones in Wolves and Leeds and Aston Villa probably are pretty up for the taking, let's say, more often than not. And of course Aston Villa are right behind them on the table, and behind those two is Chelsea, believe it or not, with 10 points, 29. Southampton, who at some point in this season were top of the table, now find themselves 11th. That is just the way of life. Anyway, the big other focus really is going to be on Man City. They defeated West Brom 5-0. It's not focused because of the match itself, because the match is pedestrian as pedestrian could come. Man City came to the Hawthorns, dominated. They destroyed West Brom, and by the way, this is a victory that compensates really well for the draw at the Etihad, which was really, really shocking. I mean, it was one of the most shocking displays that City ever had, one of the most shocking displays that West Brom ever had positively for them. But this was the complete opposite. This was a complete rout from Man City. It wasn't even close, and without De Bruyne, to think that they did this without De Bruyne is just bonkers. Gundogan, I think, transformed himself in the last couple of months or so under this new sort of system for Guardiola. He transformed himself really, really well, and he turned himself into almost a second version of De Bruyne. Like, he positions himself really well between the lines. His pass and he scored some incredible goals. Like the first goal, the touch that he took for the first goal is just incredible. If you didn't see it, like, seriously, you should see it. You really should consider seeing it. You really should, take a look at those goals, really, because his touches are just incredible. His passing on the pitch is amazing. I mean, he had an 86% pass accuracy. 2 shots, 2 on target, 2 goals. It's just, it's efficiency 101. You can't be more efficient than 2 shots, and the 2 of them are in the net. So, kudos to Gundogan. Another clean sheet. The defense continues to be strong for Man City, and things continue to look, pretty good at the moment. It's the turnaround of the turnarounds for Guardiola now at the moment. This is a clean sheet that continues the good momentum. As I mentioned, it's a turnaround of incredible proportions, really. In the last, you could extend this run, really, since the game against, West Brom, ironically, in the league, the only goal they conceded was against Chelsea. That's in the league, but they conceded, of course, one against Arsenal in the FA Cup. They conceded one against Cheltenham in the FA Cup. So there's that caveat. But I think, aside from that, it was, and I think. Let me check. It was seven. Yeah, it was 7. 7 straight clean sheets for Man City. I mean, it's incredible. The defensive job they're doing is absolutely crazy. To think that they have Sheffield United and Burnley coming next, so those are, I think, pretty much 6 points in the bag. I might add, really. They are positioning themselves, I think, really, really high in the conversation for the title. They turned the expectations around. Everybody thought that, with the early part of the season and the early performances of the season that they had, that they were not going to be turning things around. But they certainly turned things around pretty big, big time. And, top of the table, even momentarily, it will be a great opportunity for them to stretch, their muscles, and, they will hope that United will drop points against Sheffield, but it's, very unlikely. The fixture continues, of course, with the first game for Thomas Tuchel at the helm of the Chelsea club against Wolves. What a start that be for him. It's a tricky old game. Burnley versus Aston Villa, Brighton facing Fulham, Man United host Sheffield United, Everton host Leicester, and of course the fixture finishes on Thursday with Tottenham hosting Liverpool in the big match of that fixture. that's it for this episode, and from me, your boy, the HOD of the PSP. Again, you can listen to this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. Please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and enable notifications to receive the updates of these episodes and other content on the channel. And you can follow us on social media. I'm at PSP on Twitter, PSP on Instagram. And until the next time, I was your boy, the HOD of the PSP, and you'll see me soon. Goodbye.